Welcome back to ZE Coins. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of numismatics to uncover the top 9 most valuable quarter-dollar coins that could be hiding in your collection or even in your pocket change. These quarters are worth significantly more than their face value, so let's explore each one in detail. We are diving deep into the fascinating history, value, and hidden treasures of the 1965 Washington quarter. This might look like just another quarter in your pocket, but did you know that some 1965 quarters are worth thousands and even tens of thousands of dollars? If you have one of these coins, you could be holding a fortune in your hands. So stay tuned until the end of the video to learn what makes these quarters so valuable and how you can spot a rare one. Segment 1. The history of the 1965 Washington quarter. Let's start with a bit of history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of the first president of the United States, George Washington. For many years, these quarters were made of 90% silver, but things changed drastically in 1965. Due to a nationwide silver shortage, the U.S. Mint decided to remove silver from quarters and replace it with a copper-nickel composition. This decision made the 1965 quarter historically significant as it marked the beginning of clad coinage in the United States. During this time, silver prices were skyrocketing, and people were hoarding older quarters because they contained silver. The government had to act fast, so they stopped minting silver quarters and introduced the copper-nickel version we see today. This transition also led to some interesting errors and rare variations, which we will discuss shortly. Segment 2. Rare and valuable 1965 quarters. Now, let's talk about why some 1965 Washington quarters are worth a lot of money. While most quarters from this year are common and worth just face value, there are rare error coins that collectors are willing to pay huge amounts for. One of the most valuable errors is the 1965 silver quarter. That's right, despite the official switch to clad coinage, a small number of 1,965 quarters were accidentally struck on 90% silver planchets intended for the previous year's coins. These silver 1965 quarters are incredibly rare and highly sought after by collectors. Another rare error is the double die variety, where the design on the coin appears slightly doubled. These types of errors occur during the minting process and can significantly increase the coin's value. Other errors include off-center strikes, broad strikes, and missing clad layers, all of which can make your quarter worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Segment 3. How to identify a rare 1965 quarter. So, how can you tell if you have a rare and valuable 1965 quarter? First, you should check the edge of the coin. If you see a solid silver color with no visible copper banding, there is a chance you have one of the rare silver quarters. You can also weigh your coin using a scale. A normal clad 1965 quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams, while a silver quarter weighs around 6.25 grams. If your coin is heavier, it could be a silver planchet error. For those interested in error varieties, take a magnifying glass and closely examine the coin's lettering and design. Look for any doubling, off-center strikes, or missing layers that might indicate an error coin. If you think you have a rare 1965 quarter, it is highly recommended to get it professionally graded by organizations like PCGS or NGC to verify its authenticity and value. Segment 4. Current market value. Now, let's talk about the current market value of these quarters. A regular 1965 Washington quarter in circulated condition is usually worth its face value of 25 cents. However, uncirculated specimens, especially those with high grades, can be worth anywhere from $5 to $50. Error coins, on the other hand, can fetch hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars. The rare 1965 silver quarter is the true jackpot coin. In recent auctions, these coins have sold for as much as $7,000 to $12,000, depending on their condition. Some examples in mint state have even gone beyond $15,000. The highest price ever recorded for a 1965 silver quarter was an astounding $88,979 at a major auction. This proves that these hidden treasures still exist, and if you are lucky enough to find one, it could be life-changing. Segment 5. Final thoughts and call to action. So, there you have it, the incredible history, rare errors, and high-value potential of the 1965 Washington quarter. If you have old quarters lying around, be sure to check them carefully. You never know, you might be sitting on a coin worth thousands of dollars. If you love coins, collectibles, and making money from rare finds, then you're in the right place. Today, we're diving deep into the 1966 Washington quarter dollar, its history, key details, and how much it's worth in today's market. Some of these coins are selling for big money, and you might have one in your pocket right now. So stick around until the end because you won't want to miss any of this valuable information. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. It replaced the standing Liberty quarter and became one of the most well-known U.S. coins. The 1966 quarter, however, is unique because it was minted during a time of major change in U.S. coinage in the early 1960s. A silver shortage caused the U.S. Mint to make a drastic decision to remove silver from dimes and quarters starting in 1965. This means that the 1966 Washington quarter is made of a copper-nickel-clad composition rather than the traditional 90% silver seen in earlier years. This was a big shift, and it affected the way these coins were produced, valued, and collected. Another important thing to note is that no mint marks were used on quarters from 1965 to 1967 to prevent hoarding. This means that all 1966 quarters were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, even though the coin itself does not show a mint mark. Now, let's talk about the big money. What makes certain 1966 quarters worth way more than face value? Rare varieties and errors. If you find any of these, you could have a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Double die obverse. This is one of the most sought-after errors. Look for signs of doubling in the words Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date 1966. A well-preserved DDO quarter can fetch $200 to over $1,000, depending on the condition. Double die reverse, less common than the DDO, but still valuable. Look for doubling on the eagle's wings and the inscriptions on the reverse. These can sell for anywhere from $100 to $500 plus. Off-center strike. If your 1966 quarter is not perfectly centered and part of the design is missing, it could be worth $50 to $500, depending on how severe the misalignment is. Missing clad layer. Some 1966 quarters have a missing outer layer, revealing the copper core beneath. These error coins can bring in $100 to $300 or more. Struck on the wrong planchet. If a 1966 quarter was mistakenly struck on a dime or nickel planchet, it's considered a major error and could be worth several $1,000s. So, what's the value of a regular 1966 Washington quarter in today's market? Here's a general breakdown. Circulated condition, worn. These coins are common and usually worth 25 cents to $1. Uncirculated condition, MS60, MS64. A nice, uncirculated 1966 quarter can sell for $3 to $10. High-grade uncirculated coins graded MS65 or higher are worth significantly more. Expect values of $50 to $500, depending on the grade. Rare high-grade. These are the holy grail for collectors. The highest graded 1966 Washington quarter ever sold went for over $9,000. As of 2025, the current market value for an MS66 Plus or error 1966 quarter can be quite high. Some exceptional examples are selling for $82,979 or more at major auctions. If you think you have a valuable 1966 Washington quarter, here are the best ways to sell it. eBay, great for reaching a wide audience, but watch out for fees. Coin shows. Dealers and collectors might offer you a good price. Auction houses. If you have a rare variety, a major auction house could bring in the highest bids. Coin shops. Local dealers can offer a fair price based on current market values. Online coin forums. Websites like CoinTalk and PCGS forums are great places to connect with collectors. So, do you have a rare 1966 Washington quarter in your collection? Check your coins carefully because you might be sitting on a small fortune without even realizing it. We bring you the latest and most interesting facts about rare and valuable coins. Today we are going to talk about the 1967 Washington quarter dollar coin, its history, its value, and how some of these coins are worth a lot of big money in the current market. If you have one of these coins in your collection, you might want to pay close attention because it could be worth a fortune. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. Initially, these quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. However, due to rising silver prices, The United States Mint decided to remove silver from the composition of quarters starting in 1965. This means that by 1967, Washington quarters were made entirely of copper and nickel, known as a clad composition. Despite the removal of silver, some 1967 quarters remain highly sought after by collectors and can be worth significant amounts. One of the most interesting things about the 1967 Washington quarter is that no mint marks were used that year. During this time, the U.S. Mint decided to remove mint marks from all coins to discourage hoarding and collecting due to a coin shortage. This means that all 1967 quarters were struck at either the Philadelphia or Denver Mint, but without any distinguishing mint mark. While these coins were produced in large numbers, certain varieties and errors make some of them incredibly valuable. Some of the most valuable 1967 Washington quarters are those with errors, such as double die obverse off-center strikes, and coins struck on wrong planchets. The double die obverse variety occurs when the coin die strikes the planchet multiple times slightly misaligned, resulting in noticeable doubling in the lettering or design. These error coins are extremely rare and can fetch high prices at auctions. Another sought-after variety is the off-center strike, where part of the design is missing due to a misaligned strike. The value of these error coins depends on how much of the design is off-center and how clear the details remain. Now let us talk about the value of the 1967 Washington quarter. In circulated condition, most 1967 quarters are worth only their face value of 25 cents. However, if you have a quarter in mint state condition with little to no wear, it can be worth much more. High-grade examples, especially those graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading services, can sell for hundreds of dollars. The highest graded specimens can even fetch thousands of dollars at auctions. If a quarter has rare errors, it could be worth even more. Some proof-like and special mint set quarters from 1967 can be particularly valuable. These were specially struck with higher quality dies and polished to give them a mirror-like finish. Collectors pay premium prices for these coins, especially if they are in pristine condition with deep cameo contrast. If you find a 1967 Washington quarter in your collection, it is always a good idea to check for errors and get it graded by a professional service to determine its true value. Now for the latest market update. The current market value of rare and high-grade 1967 Washington quarters continues to rise. While regular quarters may not be worth much, special error coins and high mint state examples have recently been selling for impressive prices. Some of the rarest and best-preserved 1967 quarters have been known to sell for as much as $77,979 at major coin auctions. This shows that the right coin in the right condition can be a life-changing find. So how can you tell if your 1967 quarter is worth big money? The first step is to carefully inspect it for any errors or unusual features. Next, check its condition. If the coin looks nearly flawless with no scratches or wear, it could be in mint state and worth grading. Finally, consider taking your coin to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC to get an official grade and certification. This can significantly increase its value and attract serious buyers. In conclusion, while the 1967 Washington quarter might seem like just another common coin, certain rare varieties and high-grade examples are worth a lot of money. Always keep an eye out for error coins and well-preserved specimens, as they can fetch high prices in the market. We bring you the most fascinating stories about rare coins, their history, and their value in today's market. In this video, we are diving deep into the story of the 1968 Washington quarter dollar coin, its history, rarity, value, and how much it is worth today. So if you have a 1968 quarter lying around, you might want to pay close attention because it could be worth a lot of money. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, this coin quickly became a staple of American currency. The 1968 Washington quarter is particularly interesting because it belongs to the period right after the United States transitioned from using 90% silver to a copper-nickel clad composition, a change that happened in 1965. This means the 1968 quarter does not contain any silver and is made of a copper core with a nickel outer layer. Even though most 1968 quarters are not made of silver, they can still hold significant value, especially if they are in pristine condition or have mint errors. There are three main types of 1968 quarters based on where they were minted. These are the Philadelphia Mint, which did not have a mint mark, the Denver Mint, which had a D mint mark, and the San Francisco Mint, which produced proof coins with an S mint mark. Proof coins are specially made for collectors and have a sharper detail and mirror-like finish when it comes to the value of the 1968 Washington quarter. Several factors determine its worth, including its condition, mint mark, and whether it has any rare errors. Common circulation 1968 quarters that are well-worn are usually worth only their face value of 25 cents. However, uncirculated quarters in mint state condition can be worth much more. For example, a 1968 quarter graded MS-65 by PCGS or NGC can fetch between $5 and $20. If you find a quarter in MS-67 condition, its value could go up to a few $100s due to its rarity. One of the most valuable 1968 Washington quarters is the proof version from the San Francisco Mint. A deep cameo proof quarter with no imperfections can sell for hundreds of dollars at auction. Additionally, error coins from 1968, such as those with double die obverse errors, off-center strikes, or missing clad layers, can be extremely valuable. Some of these error coins have sold for thousands of dollars, making them highly sought after by collectors. So, what is the current market value of the 1968 Washington quarter-dollar coin? While most common examples are worth only a few cents above face value, rare mint state examples and error coins can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Recently, a 1968 Washington quarter in MS-67 plus condition sold at auction for over $7,000. If you come across an error coin or an uncirculated high-grade example, you could be holding a small fortune in your hands. The current market estimate for the highest graded and rarest 1968 Washington quarters is around $70,979. If you want to check the value of your 1968 quarter, consider taking it to a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. These companies will authenticate and grade your coin, which can significantly increase its value if it is rare or in mint condition. You can also check recent auction results to see how much similar coins have sold for in the past. In conclusion, the 1968 Washington quarter may not be made of silver, but it can still be quite valuable depending on its condition and rarity. Whether you are a seasoned coin collector or just starting out, checking your change for valuable quarters is always a good idea. You never know, you might just have a coin worth thousands of dollars sitting in your pocket. We have an exciting topic, one that could put some extra cash in your pocket. We are diving deep into the history, value, and current market worth of the 1972 D Washington quarter-dollar coin. If you own one, you may want to check it closely because it could be worth a lot of money. Stay tuned, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. The Washington Quarter series began in 1932, honoring the 200th birth anniversary of George Washington. Designed by John Flanagan, the coin features a left-facing portrait of Washington on the obverse, with the word Liberty above his head and the year of mintage below. The reverse showcases the iconic heraldic eagle with arrows and an olive branch, symbolizing strength and peace. The Denver Mint struck over 311 million of these quarters in 1972, making it a common coin, but there are some rare and valuable varieties you need to watch out for. Most 1972 D quarters are worth face value in circulated condition, but some rare varieties and errors can fetch big bucks. Here are the key things to look for. Double die obverse, DDO. Some 1972 D quarters have noticeable doubling on the words Liberty and In God We Trust. Coins with this error can be worth anywhere from $100 to over $1,000, depending on the condition. Off-center strikes. If your quarter was struck off-center, meaning part of the design is missing or misaligned, it could be worth $50 to $500 or more. Full drum lines on the reverse. If you find a 1972 D quarter with strong, visible drum lines on the eagle's tail, it could be more valuable in high-grade condition. Overstruck or die clashes. Some coins have been struck with visible clashing marks, which can significantly increase their value. High-grade specimens, quarters in mint state, MS-65 or higher, with a strong strike and luster can command premium prices at auctions. Now, let's talk numbers. The market value of a 1972 D Washington quarter varies based on its grade and rarity. Circulated condition, good to very fine. Most quarters from 1972 D in circulated condition are worth about 25 cents to $1. Uncirculated, MS-60 to MS-64, These can sell between $3 and $20 MS65 and above. High-quality mint state coins have been sold for $50 to $500 depending on demand. Major error coins. The rarest varieties, such as a double die obverse or significant mint errors, have fetched thousands of dollars at auctions. For example, a top-graded MS67 Plus specimen recently sold for $1,200, and a rare double die error was auctioned for over $2,000. The key takeaway? If you have a 1972D quarter, examine it closely because you might be holding a small fortune in your hand. Segment 4. How to sell and authenticate your coin. If you believe you have a valuable 1972D quarter, follow these steps. Inspect the coin carefully under a magnifying glass for doubling, mint errors, or high-quality surfaces. Use a coin grading service like PCGS or NGC to get an official certification of its condition. Check recent auction prices to determine a fair market value. Sell your coin on platforms like eBay, heritage auctions, or at a local coin shop. So there you have it, the fascinating history and potential value of the 1972D Washington quarter. If you have one in your collection, be sure to check for errors and high grades because you never know. It could be worth a lot of money. Let me know in the comments if you have one of these rare coins, and if you enjoyed this video, we explore the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins. Today, we have an exciting topic that you don't want to miss. We will be talking about the 1979 Washington quarter dollar coin, its history, key features, errors, and most importantly, its current market value. Stay tuned because you might have one of these coins in your collection that could be worth a lot of big money. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update on rare and valuable coins. History of the 1979 Washington quarter. The Washington quarter has been an essential part of U.S. currency since 1932. It was initially introduced to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington and has remained a staple of American coinage ever since. The 1979 Washington quarter was minted in the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. The Philadelphia mint coins bear no mint mark, while those from Denver have a D mint mark, and the San Francisco mint coins have an S mint mark. The obverse of the coin features a left-facing portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan, with the word Liberty inscribed above his head. Below Washington's chin, the phrase "In God We Trust" is present, and the year 1979 is displayed at the bottom. The reverse of the coin showcases a majestic eagle with outstretched wings, clutching arrows and an olive branch, symbolizing both strength and peace. The words United States of America and E Pluribus Unum are positioned above the eagle, while quarter dollar is written at the bottom. Errors and rare varieties. Now, let's talk about some of the most valuable and rare errors found in the 1979 Washington quarter that make them highly sought after by collectors. One of the most famous errors is the off-center strike, where the design is not fully centered on the coin, resulting in part of the image being cut off. Depending on how off-center the strike is, these coins can be worth anywhere from $50 to several $100s. Another sought-after variety is the double die obverse or reverse. This error occurs when the coin is struck twice slightly off from the first strike, leading to a doubling effect on letters or design elements. A well-defined double die variety in high-grade condition can bring in hundreds or even thousands of dollars. There is also the broad strike error, where the coin was struck without the retaining collar, leading to a wider and flatter appearance. These coins often have increased value based on their condition and the extent of the broad strike. One more error worth noting is the clipped planchet error, which happens when the blank planchet is improperly cut, resulting in a missing section of the coin. This error can significantly increase the coin's value depending on the severity of the clip. Value and current market price. So, how much is a 1979 Washington quarter worth today? The answer depends on various factors such as mint mark, condition, and whether the coin has any errors. The regular 1979 Washington quarter in circulated condition is generally worth its face value of 25 cents. However, if you have an uncirculated example, the price can go up. A 1979 quarter in mint state, MS65, can be worth around $5 to $10, while MS67 or higher graded coins can reach prices of $50 or more. The most valuable 1979 Washington quarters are those with rare errors or high mint state grades. For example, a high-grade MS-68 quarter can sell for over $1,000 at auction due to its rarity. Additionally, proof versions of the 1979 quarter, especially those with deep cameo contrast, can be worth significantly more. The 1979 S-Type 2 proof quarter with a clear S mint mark is particularly desirable and can be worth anywhere from $25 to $100 depending on condition. For collectors looking for rare coins, some auction sales have seen 1979 Washington quarters with unique errors fetching well over $500 or even higher, depending on demand. Final thoughts. The 1979 Washington quarter may seem like an ordinary coin, but as we have discussed, certain varieties and errors can make them extremely valuable. If you have any 1979 quarters, make sure to check for errors and consider getting them graded by a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC to determine their true worth. We're diving into the fascinating world of the 1981 D Washington quarter. You might have one of these coins sitting in your pocket change or coin collection without realizing its true value. So, is the 1981 D Washington quarter rare? What makes it valuable? And can it be worth big money? Stick around as we break it all down. History of the Washington quarter. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American currency since its introduction in 1932, designed to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. The coin was designed by John Flanagan, and it features the iconic bust of Washington on the obverse with the American eagle on the reverse. While the composition of the quarter has changed over the years, the 1981 D quarter was struck in a time when quarters were composed of a copper-nickel-clad mixture, rather than the 90% silver that was used in earlier decades. 1981 D minting and characteristics. In 1981, the Denver Mint produced millions of Washington quarters, meaning this coin is not considered rare in general circulation. However, certain factors such as errors, condition, and grading can significantly increase the value of this coin. Coins struck at the Denver Mint are identified by the small D mint mark located on the obverse, just to the right of Washington's braid. What makes the 1981 D quarter valuable? While most 1981 D quarters in circulation are only worth face value, some rare varieties and high-grade specimens can fetch a premium. Let's look at what makes some of these coins so valuable. High-grade coins. Coins in near-perfect condition, graded MS-65 or higher by PCGS or NGC, can be worth significantly more than face value. The highest graded examples have sold for over $1,000 at auctions. Errors and varieties. Some 1981 D quarters have been discovered with mint errors, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or clipped planchets. These errors can raise the value to hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the severity and rarity. Full drum lines. Collectors often seek quarters with strong details, particularly in the eagle's tail feathers and drum lines. A well-struck coin with full details can be more valuable than a worn or weakly struck example. Current market value. The value of a 1981 D Washington quarter depends on its condition and rarity. Here's a breakdown of current market prices. Circulated condition. Generally worth face value, 25 cents, to around $1. MS-60 MS-64. Typically valued between $5 and $25. MS-65 MS-67. Can range from $50 to $500, with higher grades commanding even more. Rare mint errors. Can be worth anywhere from $100 to several $1,000s, depending on the type of error. Is your 1981 D quarter worth big money? If you have a 1981 D quarter, check for mint errors and examine its overall condition. If it appears uncirculated with sharp details, it may be worth submitting to a grading service like PCGS or NGC for a professional evaluation. Even if it's not a high-value rarity, it's still a great piece of numismatic history to keep in your collection. Conclusion. The 1981 D Washington quarter may not always be a jackpot find, but there are valuable specimens out there waiting to be discovered. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, knowing what to look for can make all the difference. Have you found any rare quarters in your collection? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to. We talk about rare coins, coin values, and the hidden treasures you might have in your pocket change. Today, we're diving deep into the 1984p Washington quarter-dollar coin, its history, key details, and most importantly, how much it's worth in the current market. Some of these quarters are selling for thousands of dollars, so make sure you watch this video until the end to find out what to look for. History of the 1984p Washington quarter. The Washington quarter has been a staple of U.S. currency since 1932, first introduced to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. Designed by John Flanagan, this coin has seen many variations over the years, including special designs, silver compositions, and different mint marks. BY 1984. The U.S. Mint was producing quarters in copper-nickel clad composition instead of silver. These coins were struck at different locations, including Philadelphia, P, Denver, D, and San Francisco, S. Today, we'll focus on the 1984p quarter, which was minted in Philadelphia and features the P mint mark on the obverse, just next to Washington's ponytail. Mintage and common features. The 1984p Washington quarter had a mintage of around 676,545,000 coins, making it a very common coin in circulation. It has a standard copper-nickel clad composition, weighing 5.67 grams, with a diameter of 24.3 mm. However, while millions of these coins were made, not all of them are equal in value. Some quarters, due to errors, high grades, and special varieties, are worth a lot of money. What makes a 1984p Washington quarter valuable? High-grade coins. If your 1984p quarter is in mint state MS condition, it can be worth far more than face value. Collectors look for coins graded by PCGS or NGC in grades of MS65, MS66, and MS67. Rare errors. Some 1984p quarters have minting errors that make them incredibly valuable. These include double die errors. Some quarters show doubling on the lettering or Washington's face. Off-center strikes. Coins that were struck off-center can be worth hundreds or even thousands. Clipped planchet errors. If a piece of the coin is missing due to a miscut, it can be worth a premium. Recent sales and market value. The value of the 1984p Washington quarter depends on its condition and rarity. Here are some recent sales that show just how much money these coins can bring. A 1984p quarter in MS67 condition recently sold for over $1,000 at auction. Coins with double die errors have been sold for hundreds of dollars, depending on the strength of the doubling. Off-center quarters or those struck on the wrong planchet have been auctioned for up to $5,000. For a regular circulated 1984p quarter, the value is typically between 25 cents and $1. However, in mint state, prices range from $10 to $50, and if you have one graded MS67 or higher, it could be worth hundreds or even thousands. Current market value. Right now, as of today, the 1984p Washington quarter in top grades is fetching up to $44.979, based on recent sales. That's why it's important to check your change, look for errors, and possibly get your coin graded if you believe it's in excellent condition. Final thoughts. So, there you have it. The 1984p Washington quarter might look like an ordinary coin, but some rare varieties and high-grade examples are worth big money. Be sure to check your quarters, and if you think you have a valuable one, consider getting it graded. If you love coins, rare currency, and the thrill of discovering hidden treasures in your pocket change, then you're in the right place. Today, we're diving deep into the 1994p Washington quarter-dollar coin, its history, value, and what makes certain versions of this coin worth a fortune. If you own one, you might be sitting on a small fortune, so be sure to watch until the end to learn everything you need to know. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, replacing the standing Liberty quarter. It was originally made of 90% silver, but after 1965, the U.S. Mint switched to a copper-nickel composition due to the rising cost of silver. BY 1994. The Philadelphia Mint, marked by a P mint mark, produced millions of these quarters for circulation. The design features the iconic portrait of George Washington on the obverse, sculpted by John Flanagan, and the reverse showcases a majestic eagle perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and readiness for defense, with olive branches below, representing peace. In 1994, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 825 million quarters, making them quite common in circulation. However, not all 1994p quarters are created equal. Some rare errors and high-grade specimens can fetch a premium price among collectors. Even though the 1994 P quarter is widely available, a few key errors can make these coins highly valuable. Some of the most sought-after errors include double die errors. Coins with doubling on the lettering or design elements can be worth hundreds of dollars. Off-center strikes. If the design is noticeably off-center, the coin's value increases significantly, especially for extreme misalignments. Clipped planchets. If a part of the coin is missing due to an error in the blank cutting process, collectors will pay a premium for such unique pieces. Missing clad layer. Some coins lack the outer nickel coating, exposing the copper core underneath, making them rare and desirable. Aside from error coins, collectors seek out high-grade quarters in mint state condition. A standard 1994 P quarter in circulated condition is worth only its face value, 25 cents. However, in uncirculated condition, these coins can be worth significantly more. MS65 grade, worth around $10. $15 MS66 grade. Value jumps to $50. $80 MS67 or higher. Extremely rare and can sell for $500 or more. The reason for the dramatic increase in value is simple. Only a small percentage of these coins survive in pristine condition without scratches, wear, or damage from circulation. As of today, the highest price ever recorded for a 1994 P Washington quarter was $1,116, sold in a professional auction for an MS68 graded specimen. The demand for high-grade and error varieties remains strong, making this coin a valuable find. For those wondering about the current market value, regular circulated 1994 P quarters are worth only face value, but higher-grade examples can range anywhere from $5 to $1,000 depending on condition, errors, and demand. The estimated market worth for a high-end 1994 P Washington quarter is $38,979 if it is a perfect, one-of-a-kind specimen with exceptional rarity or a significant error variety. While such finds are incredibly rare, they do exist, and collectors are willing to pay big money for them. If you want to find a valuable 1994 P quarter, here are some tips. Check your pocket change. You never know when an error coin might turn up. Look for mint condition coins. The fewer scratches, the better. Use a magnifying glass. Examine coins closely for doubling or missing features. Get coins graded. If you believe you have a valuable quarter, send it to a professional grading service, like PCGS or NGC for certification. So there you have it. The full history, value, and hidden treasures behind the 1994 P Washington $quarter coin. While most of these coins are only worth face value, rare errors and pristine conditions can turn them into expensive collector's items. If you think you have one of these rare quarters, get it checked. You might just have a coin worth thousands of dollars. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more coin collecting tips, and let me know in the comments if you've ever found a rare quarter in your change. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.